High Court sitting in Benin City, the Edo State capital, has sentenced a man to 1 year imprisonment for spraying Naira notes. Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, in a news release made available few hours ago, indicated that the court convicted and sentenced the man to 6 months jail term each of the 2-count charge filed against him for spraying the Naira notes at a burial ceremony inside police barrack in Benin City in the month of April 2023. EFCC stated further in the statement that the court gave the convict monetary option of 100,000 Nairas each or serve the 1 year jail term. Details of the report and other news releases made available by the EFCC are presented below. Court jails man for spraying Naira notes in Benin City. Justice C.A. Obayozo of the Federal High Court sitting in Benin City has convicted and sentenced one OsazuwaAkonedo to jail for spraying Naira notes. Okonedo was convicted on a 2-count charge for offense bordering on spraying Naira notes on Thursday, May 16, 2024, contrary to Section 21(3) of the Central Bank of Nigeria Establishment Act 2007 and punishable under Section 21(1) of the same Act. One of the counts reads that OsazuwaAkonedo, male, on or about the 28th day of April 2023 at Ogida Police Barracks, Benin City, Edo State, within the jurisdiction of this honorable court, did spray 100 Naira's notes at a funeral ceremony and thereby committed an offense contrary to Section 21(3) of the Central Bank of Nigeria Establishment Act 2007 and punishable under Section 21(1) of the same Act. The defendant pleaded guilty to the charge when it was read to him in court. Based on his plea, prosecution counsel Francis Jayobio prayed the court to convict and sentence him accordingly. However, defense counsel prayed the court to temper justice with mercy and that the defendant has become remorseful for his action. Justice Obayozo convicted and sentenced Okonedo to 6 months imprisonment on each of the counts or a fine of 100,000 Nairas each. The defendant is to undertake in writing to be of good behavior going forward. Okonedo's road to jail began following his arrest by operatives of the Commission for Spraying Naira Notes at Function. Alleged 20 million Nairas fraud. Court fixes July 1 for judgment of 3 defendants in Lagos. Justice Hakeem Oshuli of the Lagos State High Court sitting in Ikeja on Wednesday, May 22, 2023, fixed July 1, 2024 for judgment in the trial of Ugochi Clinton, Obinama Abiodun and Kende Ademusi, who are facing trial over an alleged 20 million Nairas fraud. They are being prosecuted on amended 2-count charges bordering on conspiracy to obtain money by false pretense, contrary to Section F8 and 1(3) of the Advance Fee Fraud and Other Fraud-Related Offences Act 2006, as well as an attempt to obtain money by false pretense, contrary to Section 8B and 1(3) of the Advance Fee Fraud and Other Fraud-Related Offences Act 2006. One of the counts reads that Ugochi Clinton, Obinama Vincent Abiodun and Kende Ademusi, on or about the 29th day of July 2016 at Lagos, within the Ikeja Judicial Division, with the intent to defraud, conspired to obtain the sum of 20 million Nairas from Sageto Limited. Another count reads that Ugochi Clinton, Obinama Vincent Abiodun and Kende Ademusi, on or about the 29th day of July 2016 at Lagos, within the Ikeja Judicial Division, with the intent to defraud, attempted to obtain the sum of 20 million Nairas from Sageto Limited under the false pretense that the instruction to transfer the sum of 20 million Nairas emanated from the managing director of Sageto Limited for the benefit of Ololade Olasunkanmi, which pretense you knew was false. They pleaded not guilty to the charges when they were read to them. At Wednesday's proceedings, the second defendant was, again, absent in court. According to the prosecution counsel, S.O. Daji, the second defendant has been absent for 2 different times now and he has not been apprehended. He, therefore, prayed the court to allow parties to adopt their final written addresses, in line with the Section 345 of the ACJA 2021 as amended. EFCC arrests 46 suspected internet fraudsters in Oka. Operatives of the Enugu Zonal Command of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, have arrested 46 suspected internet fraudsters in Oka Metropolis, Anambra State. The suspects were arrested during a sting operation in the early hours of Friday, May 24, 2024, following credible intelligence linking them to cybercrimes activities in the state. Items recovered from them include mobile phones, 6 laptops and 6 exotic cars. The suspects are currently tendering confessional statements and will be charged to court as soon as investigations are concluded. EFCC arraigns Fred BDC operator, one other for currency racketeering in Enugu. The Enugu Zonal Command of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, on Friday, May 24, 2024, arraigned the duo of Onwuka Henry and Ekene Idegu before Justice F. Ogiwa Ogunbanjo of the Federal High Court sitting in Independence Layout, Enugu State, on a 2-count charge bordering on currency racketeering and operating bureau they change business without an appropriate license. One of the counts reads that Onwuka Henry and Ekene Idegu, sometime in February 2024 at Owerri Road, Enugu State, within the jurisdiction of the Federal High Court of Nigeria, did jointly carry on the business of bureau they change under the name of Bencom Enterprises Bureau de Change, without due and valid license and thereby committed an offense contrary to Section 57, 1A and D2 of the Banks and Other Financial Institutions Act No. 5, 2020 and punishable under Section 57, 5B of the same Act. They pleaded not guilty when the charges were read to them. In view of their pleas, counsel to the EFCC, Nasi Umar prayed the court for a trial date and for the defendants to be remanded at Enugu State Correctional Facility. However, defense counsel, E.C. Inuzia and J.A. Okuta informed the court about pending bail applications. They moved the said applications and prayed the court to grant their clients bail on liberal terms. Umar vehemently opposed the said applications on the grounds that the offense is becoming prevalent in our society and we fear they may jump bail my lord. After listening to both sides, the court granted them bail on the following conditions. They were granted bail in the sum of 1 million nairas each with 2 sureties in like sum. The sureties must have a loaded property in Enugu and must show evidence of tax payment. The commission must verify their addresses and report to the court within 7 days. The defendants were remanded at the Enugu State Correctional Facility while the matter was adjourned to October 16, 2024 for trial. The second defendant, Ibebu, was arrested by members of the Joint Task Force of the Enugu Zonal Command of the EFCC on Thursday, February 8, 2024 along Owerri Road, Enugu State following actionable intelligence received concerning his alleged involvement in currency racketeering. Investigations revealed that Ibebu was working for the first defendant, Henry. Further investigation revealed that Henry was operating a bureau de change business without due and valid license. He was invited and detained on February 13, 2024. EFCC arraigns man, his company over alleged 32 million nairas fraud. The Port Harcourt Zonal Command of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC has arraigned Mr. Kanu Ifesinachi Tennyson and his company, Vican Integrated Services Nigeria Limited, before Justice P.M. Ayoa of the Federal High Court, Port Harcourt, the Rivers State Capital on allegations of multiple fraud. Tension and his company, first and second defendants respectively, are facing prosecution on 11 count charges, bordering on criminal breach of trust, forgery, alteration and obtaining money under false pretense. One of the charges reads that Ukani Ifesinachi Tennyson and Vican Integrated Services Nigeria Limited between the 18th day of September 2023 and 30th day of September 2023 in Bonny Island, Rivers State, within the jurisdiction of this honorable court with intent to defraud, obtained money in the sum of 10,200,000 naira only from Mr. Robinson Adekosa, money which was paid into account number 00081611871 domiciled with Access Bank PLC and operated by you, under the pretense that the money will generate for him yields on investment from a contract you purported to have secured with Nigerian Liquefied Natural Gas NLNG, which pretends you knew to be false and thereby committed an offense contrary to Section 11C of the Advanced Fee Fraud and Other Related Offences Act 2006 and punishable under Section 1(3) of the same Act. Another reads that Ukani Ifesinachi Tennyson and Vican Integrated Services Nigeria Limited between the 15th day of August 2023 and 1st day of December 2023 in Bonny Island, Rivers State within the jurisdiction of this honorable court with intent to defraud, obtained money in the sum of 22 million naira only from Mr. Tekena Erekeosima, which money was paid into account number 20310574222 with the account name Vican Integrated Services Nigeria Limited domiciled with First Bank of Nigeria PLC and operated by you, under the pretense that same will generate for him yields on investment from a contract you purported to have secured with Nigeria Liquefied Natural Gas NLNG, which pretends you knew to be false and thereby committed an offense contrary to Section 11C of the Advanced Fee Fraud and Other Related Offences Act 2006 and punishable under Section 1(3) of the same Act. He pleaded not guilty when all the charges were read to him, upon which prosecution counsel K.U. Odus prayed the court for a commencement date of trial and for the first defendant to be remanded in prison custody, while the defense counsel, G. Christopher, informed the court of the defendant's pending bail application and prayed the court to grant him bail to enable him prepare for his trial. In her ruling, Justice Ayo ordered that the first defendant be remanded in the custody of Nigeria Correctional Service, Port Harcourt, and adjourned the matter till June 20, 2024, for hearing of the bail application. Trouble began for the defendants when a petitioner in December 2023 alleged that the first defendant approached him for the sum of $11,700, $11,700,000 which he said he needed in order to secure a contract from Nigeria Liquefied Natural Gas Limited, NLNG, for the second defendant. The petitioner allegedly released the sum to the defendant after both reached an agreement that the defendant shall pay him the sum of 3,750,000 nairas, 3,750,000 naira, upon the execution of the contract and payment by Nigeria Liquefied Natural Gas Limited. The agreement was, however, not honored by the defendant, while all efforts by the petitioner to get his money back met a brick wall. Internet fraudster bags 1-year jail term in Port Harcourt. Justice E.A. Obile of the Federal High Court, sitting in Port Harcourt, the Rivers State Capital, has Convicted and sentenced one Okachukwu to prison for internet fraud. Chidebere was prosecuted by the Port Harcourt Zonal Command of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) on one-count charge of impersonation. The charge reads that Okachukwu Chidebere, aka Gibankali, David Makai, on or about the 2nd of February, 2024, within the jurisdiction of this honorable court fraudulently created a Google Chat account with usernames David Makesi of 001.rbc@gmail.com and represented yourself as David Makai, the Chief Executive Officer and President of Royal Bank of Canada with intent to gain advantage for yourself and thereby committed an offense contrary to Section 22(2)(bi) of the Cybercrimes, Prohibition, Prevention, etc. Act 2015 and punishable under Section 22(2)(biv) of the same Act. He pleaded guilty when the charge was read to him, following which prosecution counsel Abdurrahman Abubakar called a witness, Tasiwa Mohammed, who testified against him. The prosecution also tendered some documents in further proof the case against the defendant. In view of the testimonies of the witness and the documents tendered, prosecution counsel prayed the court to convict and sentence the defendant in line with his plea, while the defense counsel, M.M. Suleiman, prayed the court to temper justice with mercy, stating that the defendant is a first-time offender with no previous criminal records and has become remorseful. In his judgment, Justice Oman convicted and sentenced the defendant to 1 year imprisonment or to pay a fine of 200,000 naira. In addition, the convict forfeited his Toshiba laptop and its charger, a computer mouse and one blue Techno mobile phone to the federal government. He also deposed to an affidavit of good behavior before the court. The convict was apprehended by operatives of Operation Eagle Sweep of the EFCC in February 2024 at the Wool Road by Oxbow Lake, Yenagoa, Bayelsa State, following intelligence on his internet fraud activities.
OsazuwaAkonedo, bringing you the news in a more digital way.